If you're playing a mode in Galaxy of Heroes that involves multiple waves, be it territory battles, assault battles, or whatever modes may come in the future, there are some fundamentals you need to know to avoid banging your head into the wall repeatedly. A lot of the time that an event feels frustrating to you is probably because of mistakes that you don't even know you're making. Fix that, and you'll have way more fun and way less time. Let's jump in. There's three main concepts that we're going to be talking about. The first is the idea of cooldown management. This is easily the most common mistake I see made in other players' videos and streams, where abilities get wasted when you didn't need to use them, and as a consequence, they're not available in the next wave when they would be critical. This is an easy enough problem to tackle. Just determine who the main threats in a wave are, wipe them out or disable them long term, and then hold off on using any abilities that will take a while to come back up. Let's take a look at one example of this, in the General Skywalker mission on Geonosis. I'm about to enter Wave 4, where the AoE daze is incredibly important. We've got two enemies left, and neither of them have protection. The command B1 is pretty dangerous for General Skywalker to fight, but we know that the end of the wave is coming soon too. I opt to use the AoE, gambling that the BX commando droid will take 2 hits to kill, so we'll get our AoE cooldown back. Instead, the commando dies in 1 hit, and we die horrifically at the start of the next wave. Now, let's take a look at what happens when you don't make that mistake in the same situation. We enter Wave 4, General Skywalker is ready with his AoE and cooldown increase, and we take the win. Simple enough, right? The second concept is the idea of wave exit and entry. When you finish off a wave, you'll start the next wave with the same amount of turn meter that everyone finished with, plus whatever additional turn meter your team generates. This means that if you play your cards right, you can give your team a massive advantage when it comes to fighting the hardest waves. This is the most important concept to remember. It will often mean life or death in the harder events like Tier 3 assault battles. An easy example of this is entering Wave 4 of the Ewok assault battles. Let's say we aren't paying attention and just end Wave 3 in really bad shape, with everyone at low turn meter. Tebow is absolutely going to roll us, including possibly going into stealth, and we'll have just wasted our last 10 to 15 minutes. If we make sure to end the wave with even just one key character ready to go on the next wave, then we'll immediately be able to take control and get an easy win. The last concept is the idea of controlling how fast you finish each wave. The general idea being that once we disable the key threats as soon as we can, slow down and take a breath. Take this time to heal people up, get your big cooldowns back, and plan out how you're going to end the wave to give your team the best preload you can. Take a look at how people's turn meter lines up, and how much damage you think each person will be able to do. Now, this is definitely where skill and game knowledge will get you further. Until you're at that point, you might need to make some educated guesses. Don't be afraid to make some moves that might sound ridiculous otherwise either. Get creative with ways to do less damage than you normally would. Using assist calls that would normally be used for damage to call people like Hermit Yoda or Old Ben is an easy example here. As an end result of this, you'll have the abilities you need when you need them, and be able to more successfully time when you leave waves. An important side note would be to be careful about adding on extra damage sources you can't control. For example, if you choose to give your whole team retribution, keep in mind that you're also making it more difficult to control how much damage output your team does. For an example here, take these two teams and imagine using them in light side territory battles. You'd think that Jedi Master Luke would make the team stronger, right? But the additional damage that he adds to the team suddenly makes it a lot harder to be able to get Luke's stun back up before the next wave. It wasn't until I specifically took off all offense modding, including removing his square entirely, that slowing down the team's pace started feeling more viable. Even then, it was still more difficult to kill waves slowly, compared to this team, where the relative damage output is pretty awful, unless we specifically choose to be aggressive. And bring more consistent control tools with Bastila. Perhaps the easiest example of this is General Skywalker. This character is incredibly good to have ready to go at the start of a wave, yet his kit includes several features that makes it incredibly difficult to not finish a wave with him. His incredibly high base damages, his double ability feature, and his max health reduction make it incredibly hard to control your pace with him on your team. Let's put everything together. Say we're using Shock T with clones. We use Echo to control the wave, take out all of the droid battalion stacks and the sniper droid, and we've handled the main threats. From this point on, we slow it down to just basics until the wave ends. We land on this Shock T turn with the commando droid up next, then Rex. Because of the double hit the commando uses, we can say for certain that Fives is actually up next instead of Rex, meaning that it's not a big deal here if Shock T doesn't end the wave. So, instead of calling Arc Trooper for the guaranteed finish, I call Echo to give him some crit damage. Unexpectedly, the commando decides to target Fives, but that just means that Fives gets to kill him with counterattacks, and we've now ended the wave with Fives taking a free turn before Rex boosts the team's turn meter early. So that's it. You don't have to do this on every single wave of every single mode, Assault Battles being a great example of this, since waves 1 through 3 and 5 through 7 don't tend to be serious fights. But in territory battles, or before you enter boss waves in assault battles, you need to make sure that you're doing these three things. The difference is night and day. Happy hunting.